the world they want to take us into, and we are going into, lest we wake up, is so fantastically different from the world we've known that they have a big problem with that chasm. So I'm not saying this is about the Matrix, possibly, but I'm not saying it for sure, but I am saying it for sure about this stream of movies, year after year after year after year, that are portraying the very dystopian machine-controlled society that they want to take us into. Because it's called preemptive programming. What they're doing is systematically making us subconsciously, consciously too more and more, but subconsciously familiar with that world. So that as it comes in for real, it's less of a chasm, it's less of a shock, because we're being prepared for it. Because it's all a mind game, it's all a perception game. The whole thing is a perception game.
Google's a search engine, right? Google's there to help you find what you want on the internet. Well, actually, it's more than that. Facebook, all these are just down the road from here in Silicon Valley. Facebook is just a way of keeping up with your friends and sharing your information and what's happening to you, right? No, it's much more than that. So this is the Singularity University. Among the people who created this Singularity University is Ray Kurzweil, one of the great PR men for Frankenstein and the transhumanist nightmare. And the whole agenda is for humanity to have technology put inside the body, inside the brain, nanotechnology in the end, which you can even breathe in. We call it smart dust and nanobots and various other names. And that this technology will connect the human mind to what I've been writing about for years and called the technological sub-reality. But the people like Kurzweil, who set up this Singularity University with others, they call this technological sub-reality the cloud. And they say that humans will be connected to the cloud by 2030, which is no time from now, really. Or at least it will start then. And that we will then, this is Kurzweil's words, we will then think from the cloud. There'll be, as he puts it, gateways in the cloud to our brains. And more, as time passes, you will have a situation where the cloud, he says, will do more and more of human thinking until it does human thinking in its entirety. So what we're looking at behind this whole agenda is the complete hijacking of the human conscious mind and immediate subconscious mind.
We know that Google is tracking us. We agree to it when we set up our phones. So we wanted to figure out what exactly Google is learning about us throughout the day. So here's what we're going to do. We have two identical phones. The only difference between these two phones is this one is in airplane mode. Both of the phones lack a SIM card, and they haven't been set up to access any Wi-Fi networks. So for all intents and purposes, these phones have no connection to a data network. We're going to keep them with us throughout the day. And while I travel around DC, we're going to figure out just what Google is finding out about me.
Our first stop, Sim's convenience store, just outside our Fox Bureau, for a quick coffee. From there, we took a walk to the Capitol and took a quick walk around the Senate office buildings, and then decided to hop in a car and head around town.
Hello. We're going to the Children's Hospital, please.
To run our test, we had to do more than walk the block, so we took a tour around our nation's capital. First, due north to the Children's National Medical Center Hospital, then west to St. Albans School and the National Cathedral. Our tour around town was a 14-mile journey that lasted more than an hour. The entire time, the phones had no access to the internet.
Oh my goodness.
Not a Wi-Fi connection and not any cellular data service. It almost seemed quaint to assume that Google wouldn't even be able to collect data on me.
Let's head back to the bureau, my friend. Oh, that church is beautiful.
Google's business model is simple. Collect data on its users and then use that data to sell targeted ads. It's a business model called surveillance capitalism. But does that critical data collection work even when your phones aren't connected?
So we're back here at our Fox Bureau in DC, and we've got both of our phones exactly how we left with them. The only difference, really, I snapped a couple of bad selfies at the National Cathedral. But otherwise, they have stayed in my pocket for the entire day. So let's find out what they know. This is our man-in-the-middle device. It's basically a Wi-Fi network that these phones are going to connect to once we turn their Wi-Fi on. It's going to pass data through it on the way to Google. But on the way, we're actually going to get a copy of the same data that Google's going to get. We'll be able to decrypt it and then find out where we've been throughout the day.
Within minutes, the numbers rolled in. The phone that wasn't on airplane mode registered more than 100 locations, 130 activities, and even 152 barometric readings. As soon as it hooked up to our Wi-Fi, it transmitted 300 kilobytes of data straight to Google. The phone even logged our exact locations, tracking us all around town, the Capitol, the hospital, the school, and the cathedral.
Now you may notice what's missing here is the exact route that we took, but it got that data too. It knows when I got out of the car.
You got to see this. If you're wondering why AT&T and iHeartRadio sold all their towers, we'll find out in this segment. They are talking about building a global brain and it beginning in 2018, and your cell phone is part of it. Check it out. But this is what they said. They said this. They said the mobile phone industry, this is what they said at the World Conference according to Rick Wiles. The mobile phone industry is the backbone of the global brain that is being put together. So this whole, in the global brain, what we're talking about is a computer operating system, and they talk about the cloud. Well, it's not ever in the cloud. It's in some cave somewhere, and it gathers everything you ever did. If you got a phone, even if you don't know how to use it, it knows where you're going. It knows you're in the kitchen. It knows you're in the den. It knows you're at the store. If you go to bed and put your phone by your bed, and you're married, they know when your two phones are going to bed together.
It's called a digital footprint.
Right.
Everything you search, everything you touch, it's all that's recorded.
It's all of it's recorded.
So the human being has a nature. That nature is fixed. We have a human nature. Now you have a movement, transhumanist movement, which is a very serious problem right now on the planet, because there are certain people. I mean, how many people came into the airport in Toronto through there? Did you notice those HSBC, those bank built? How many people were troubled by those? Huh? They were all over. A new world is coming. They had a picture of a fly with cameras for eyes. Like where's democracy? Who's voting on whether to give flies camera eyes or not? I mean, this is like Frankenstein. You know, Dr. Frankenstein is let loose on the modern world. So, and this is funded by NASA, it's funded by Google, it's funded by billionaires who want to download information. And it's this move towards a hybrid human being where technology merges with biology. And they're working very seriously on this. I mean, this is a serious project. Artificial intelligence is a serious project. They want to get to this singularity point. So we're dealing with situations that previous generations did not deal with.
Rasul Sallallahu told us, will cause fitna to all people with everything that Allah has given him of powers. He will make rain come down as He wills wherever He wants it to come, and He'll deny it from the people He doesn't want to have rain. He can revive the land with crops and plantation, and he can cause another land to be dead and never have crops and plantation. So no food for its people. And many other powers which Allah has given him in order to test the people as one of the final tests for mankind.
Because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you, it's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
We live therefore in a time that is paving the way for the coming of this person called Ad-Dajjal. Ad-Dajjal literally means the liar, the deceiver. And this deceiver cannot deceive people so perfectly until a road or an environment has been prepared for his coming. You can't just go in like that. It has to be prepared. Just like the road for atheism was prepared in the 17th century when the Church of Christ fell. People didn't, trust the church anymore. So people like Darwin, Charles Darwin, and other physicians and theorists, they came up to say there's no God. And suddenly now it's atheism. Just like they paved the way for homosexuality to be accepted. When you don't believe in God, you don't believe in a soul, you're just like an animal. So they said, well, animals are gay as well. We've seen monkeys do it like that. So why don't we just be like them? They paved the way, they set the pace. And then all these other catastrophes come along. Ad-Dajjal requires that the environment has to be set up for him. And with all this Dajjal, this era of deception we live in today, you look at the media and you don't know what to believe anymore. You trust Al Jazeera, then the next day you see something, you think, oh my God, can I really trust them? You trust another media site, and then the next day something kills you. And where do you go? Media is the most powerful tool today that has ever existed. The most powerful. And we do not live in a world of wars with weapons anymore. It is a war of ideology and media. Media. Deception upon deception upon deception.